Uh, First, we would like to thank you for joining us today. I understand you spent nearly 3 decades in the Indian Armed Forces, um, where you rose to the Intelligence Services of India Intelligence Corps Chief, which is extremely difficult to do. Could you describe that journey for us?
I actually, I was a newspaper guy.
Okay.
I did journalism. In the 1962 war, I was inspired to join the army. So I picked the news press test to join. I was commissioned in artillery. Uh, in 65, there was this war with Pakistan, in which I participated as an artillery officer. In 67, I became a regular commissioned officer, emergency entry, and I was transferred to intelligence corps. I mean, nothing planned. And 71 war, again I took part. I was in the division that actually in 1971. I did a lot of interrogation, field interrogation, operation of sources. I was a captain. So I gained a lot of knowledge about these. Of course, we made a lot of support. And from then onwards, of course, I sort of gravitate counterinsurgency operations. I've taken part in almost all insurgency operations except Jammu and Kashmir. You know, all other places. I took part in operations in Bangladesh also against Indian insurgency group along with the Bangladesh army. And so I sort of, by sheer great career planning, I became a specialist. That's how I ended up in Sri Lanka because firstly I had this rich experience, with about 12, and secondly I was the senior most Tamil speaking intelligence officer. In Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka people, it's actually people don't speak much. They were not English speaking. They studied in either a Tamil medium or in Kannada medium. So it was a great asset if you could speak. Either I had the advantage, and this agreement, Sri Lanka agreement came into being. I was drawn into it. We had no idea that it is going to be a long drawn war. Actually, the army commander told me that it would take about 3-4 days. So I had only one pair of from the one I was there. But it took 3 years because we never. I think there was a lot of WhatsApp in planning at the political level on nuclear in Sri Lanka for. This question was never resolved by them. I think that sums up the thing. And from there I retired. I went to J&K. The formation moved. The Indian peacekeeping force became a core headquarters. I moved to the core and went and had a look at the time Kashmir operations but then it was decided we won't get involved in that. So 71. I retired. 62. The short is 55.
Okay. So this 3-day war went into 3-4 years, and former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was of view that what was taking place in Sri Lanka in 1980s itself was a genocide, and India should not be a simple spectator. I think that quote was there, and I think that's why many people claimed, raw, the research analysis wing and intelligence corps and many, military uh, branches trained the LTTE. First, why was IPKF even dispatched to Sri Lanka? As you said, it was supposed to be 3 days, then it turned to 3 years. And what was your role and day-to-day activities during that period?
We have asked quite a few questions in that. First, I would deal with this involvement. Indira Gandhi was in a politically very uncomfortable place after the emergency, which ended in 1977. She was in the process of re-establishing herself. So the problem in that was in Tamil Nadu, Congress uh, had a very weak base, and it had to depend on the alliance, either the DMK or the newly formed AIADMK.
Yeah.
Under this actor, it's easy to deal with him. When the 1983 program against Tamils was launched in Colombo, it snowballed a big issue in Tamil Nadu because about 100,000 refugees, Tamil refugees landed up, and there were nascent groups of militants. There were about, in all, there were 33 militant groups during that period, out of which only it was like the stools coming up when there is a rain. It's like almost all of them perished except 4 or 5. And there was a lot of ambitious guys, and Tamil Nadu political parties also gravitated in their support to the various groups. The DMK supported the group called TELO, Tamil Elam Liberation Organization, and the communists supported the Elam People's Revolutionary Liberation, EPR left, because it was elected. And LTT, which was a very small outfit at that time, was supported by India. And in Tamil Nadu, it became imperative for her to win over the political support to support these groups. And secondly, she had come with very, very highly in South Asia after she won the war in 1971, which was a resounding victory in the creation of Bangladesh. In 16 days, they were able to agree Pakistan, help creation of Bangladesh. Never before in history a new country has been created with the help of another country by their own people. So this gave hello and great things were expected by Tamils when she decided to support the Sri Lanka cause, the Tamil cause. And unfortunately, she was killed in 1980. That was another another insurgent, Sikh insurgent. And the mantle fell on her son, Rajiv Gandhi, who just followed her lead. I think Indira had also this self-image that she is in for great things. So when she was in Tamil Nadu, she was known as the Amma. Everybody had to the and she wanted to profit this. And the third aspect is the Cold War consideration, which is very important. India and Soviet Union had uh, the Friendship Accord signed in 1971, which was in force for 25 years. And this, the red herring, the red hat, the red rag to Nixon, and the and Najibullah dethroned the king of Afghanistan and came to power. There was this great reaction, American reaction. They financed Pakistan initiative to arm the rebel fighters, motley collection, including Al Qaeda, and they were financed and armed by CIA and intelligence working together. And the US, I'm going into details because we should understand the Cold War consideration, because it figures in the Indo-Sri Lanka agreement also, this consideration. This went into US was trying to get a foothold in Sri Lanka. It was trying to establish the called radio station, relay station. His name was for electronic intelligence, and get a foothold in the Trincomalee port. She saw this as a Cold War move. Rajiv Gandhi assumed these things, same things, and that is how the India's involvement in Sri Lanka came. But in fairness, we should say, in every chance for peacefully resolving the issue between Tamils and Sri Lanka government. He organized interaction, two major ones in which all parties were involved. Both failed because firstly the Tamil groups were disunited. To this day they are all disunited. It's a unique thing about Tamils everywhere. And the other thing was the Sri Lanka government, J.R. Jayawardena, we had very strong pro-West leaning. He won't give it widely charged politically, and Rajiv Gandhi was a novice. As one of his old secretaries, who was our conflict in Sri Lanka, politically. And probably this is what he did when he signed the agreement. He entrusted the responsibility of disarming all the militants in India, while he would give a level of standards. And there are two other considerations. So it paved way for the entry of these guys, Indian troops. But Indian troops were in small numbers. I went there on August 5th, 19. The agreement was signed on, and the actually we were that he was Jayavardhana feared his own army would revolt against him because they were put in barracks as per the accord. So Indian troops had a task of protecting him. It is sort of an anachronism because the Sri Lankan army was poised to uh, finish off LTT regime at that time. So in a way, India saved the day for Prabhakaran in 1987. So the Sri Lankan army didn't take it alive. It had a lot of internal protests. But of course, we knew Sri Lankan army very well. We have been training them, actually. Even now we train them in all our training. My students in intelligence school who trained under me were, one of them later became a general. He was also there. And so we knew a lot of them. So it is a very familiar place. And of course, MI had it never bothered to collect intelligence about Sri Lanka. It is a very friendly country. We are very close allies. I don't know US in Canada, but US will if I know US, but we are not US. Our intelligence resources are very limited. Our budgets are very small. Where was I in our intervention? So it had a number of three factors. One is the Tamil issue concern, which led to the creation of the provinces, Northeast province together, and provinces were given a limited power schedule, amendment to the constitution. I won't go into the detail. These were done. The president could get it done because he had got it amended to become the executive president after the referendum. So in Sri Lanka, you could get these things done very easily, bypassing the parliament process. And this is what we did.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't hear you. The audio is cut off.
Audio is cut off.
Okay. Now it's back on. Now it's back.
One moment. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah.
So the LTTs, they did not lay down the arms, unlike other militant groups, which laid down the weapons as per the agreement, because LTT really did not believe because Prabhakaran thought it was only to serve Indian strategic purpose, not the Tamil Elam was the only answer. This is what Prabhakaran thought. And, not in his interest, he thought. And much against the advice of some of his advisors, he did. And he went in a killing spree. This is his problem, actually, existential problem. He wanted to come on top of the heap. So he started knocking off. Earlier he had killed a few leaders, rival militant groups. This phenomenon is there in all militancies. They try to knock off each other. And government of India didn't accept because they have disarmed the other militant groups. And to stop him, the interim government also for the northeast province, he was offered, but he wanted to be the sole boss, sole majority of the interim administration committee. So it was no go, and Jayavardhana wanted it to be LTTE to be disarmed in terms of the agreement. India had no choice. Otherwise, it would have been race. So we went very hastily into Jaffna. We didn't do well initially. We lost heavy casualties.
Raw went in, or Indian Army trained them, or who trained them? Because there was confusion. I know you had mentioned.
No. The training part is not by army. The LTT was never trained by. No militant group was trained by the army. It was by the RNAW. I hope that is clear. Of course, some instructors were picked up from army, like police, army, and so on. And by RNAW, actually, we had no knowledge. I had always been against training militants from other countries based on my experience. I have seen it in Burma, in Pakistan, East Pakistan also. Because you have democratic countries cannot do this, and you lose control after some time, and you cannot rehabilitate in the non-democratic setup. You have a problem because it's a sort of this kind of existence grows on you, militancy. It's very difficult for them to get back to normal life unless you want to get back to normal life. So the LTT came out and they thought they were very triumphant. So I am giving an abbreviated version. The Indian Army rushed troops. So actually before the war, the day before war started, I met my contact fellow who was a lawyer for the LTT. And then select the 12 bodies of 12 leaders who took Sinai. They were in captivity of Sri Lankans. So I told them, we don't get into war with India. In Nagaland, we are fighting 2 years. India is a big country. Why you want to take on? They came here as benefactors. Why you want to antagonize them? There was. He told me the insight into Prabhakaran's thinking. He said, what you say is very right, but who will tell this to Prabhakaran? He knows. And some of the other leaders I knew, I have talked to them. Because there was an interim period when we were interacting. And so
Sorry, audio is cutting off again, sir. Can you repeat?
Oh. I think regular armies always, ultimately they win if they have sufficient strength. Unlike militants, very few militants, they have a cause for which they continue to die like Al-Qaeda can sustain. At some stage they have to come to political terms. So but LTT is not of that class. I don't know whether you have read about Prabhakaran, very well documented, something like, Gestapos. Complete paperwork was done. We have constituted, called People's Court, tried them, and immediate execution. It was called dumping because body was dumped in the garbage pit. So they dumping. They were sentenced to be dumped. And the offences were, you will be astounded, people talk of human rights violations. The offences were soliciting outside Sri Lanka or having 5 grams of cocaine or 10 grams of narcotics, opium, things like this, very, very, very be a spy for the police or an informer or trying to sell arms stolen from LT. Things like this, there are 102. These are documented. And there is a sort of he glorified death. That was a slur in Tamil. They say, Nalvom Maranipu. It is, we will die and cause death. This was the slogan. So, it is very difficult for me when people are talking of human rights violation in Sri Lanka. There have been human rights violations for the last 40 years. Since you raised the question about genocide, in Sri Lanka, nearly 30 to 70,000 youth, Sinhala youth, were massacred by the government to put down the JVP insurrection. Till date, there has been no accountability. The guys have retired. It is well known who were involved. So, in a country, if you are expecting them to change overnight, there is a gross violation of human rights. And Prabhakaran produced the share for tenants, and there it is. So, this is how the war, of course, Indian Army also, there is, since you mentioned about there were accusations, I did one of the questions.
Yes.
Sent about the Indian Army's own allegations against Indian Army on human rights violations.
Yeah.
You see, you go in 87, there were huge violations in Afghanistan by all sides. There were by the JVP. The JVP operations took place when we were operating in the north. They carried out. I am not mitigating. What I say is that human rights was not a big global issue or a political electoral catchword. Now it is a very big issue firstly it came in European Union, now in Asia very much, in India also. So at least 2 violations, I thought, I had drawn attention also. We should have had a neutral body. One was the attack on the Indian troops attacked the LTTE who fired from the premises of the teaching hospital. In the retaliation, a number of patients were killed, doctors were killed. Another one was a typical one that happens and dismissed as collateral damage in a junction.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat, sir? The audio is getting cut off again. You mentioned the first one about the hospital one. The second one, can you say?
Yeah. Second one was in, in northeast called Valveti, right? There in an intersection, an Indian Army patrol was ambushed, and soldiers were killed. In the retaliatory firing, many civilians were killed. So there was allegation that it was retributive killing. Full investigation. The army then didn't have a missionary during. Now in Jammu and Kashmir, we have, since our experience, we also give importance, Indian Army also, we have a missionary. For instance, in Jammu, Kashmir, over 2,300 violations against Indian Army was reported. They were investigated by the Jammu and Kashmir Human Rights Agency, and there was a prima facie case in about 130 or 38 cases which Army was to prosecute. So now there is a system. At that time it didn't exist because it was not a political issue. Even in the US also woke up after My Lai massacre. You might remember the incident. And US Army also, even now, I told Sri Lanka year before last, I addressed a seminar in their defense university. I mentioned this, that they must have functioning. It is not enough if you hold inquiries. It must be transparent process. In Jammu and Kashmir, our court martials are open to the public. Normally, they are not open anywhere public or to the press. But in Jammu and Kashmir, we have that. I told them, why don't you hold a public inquiry? Document the evidence. They did it very late and not very transparent. Take an action on the lessons learned in commission.
LLRC one.
So they are, yeah, LLRC. So this is the actual problem, this genocide issue. So I would not, if Indian Army goes now, it will behave differently. It has to. It has no option. Because globally, nobody is prepared to accept. That is the main issue. Nationally also, not only internationally, there are a lot of resolutions have been passed against Israel, against Iran, against Sudan. It doesn't cut any ice.
Yeah.
The government put its foot down.
Yeah.
Even in the ICC, it is, even in the ICC, International Criminal Court, it requires concurrence of the government. That's in Rwanda, it has been done by, it took 12 years in Rwanda for killing 1 million people. That is genocide. In Cambodia, the process is not over. And in Sudan, it never took place. I can keep on adding this.
Right.
Transmission. Yeah. I'll talk to them.
Feel that you are talking about the genocide. Now the UN Human Rights Council is looking to do an international investigation I think the UN document is saying crime against humanity, war crimes, things like that. Do you think there is justification?
A case for the investigation. Originally, it was not established. Only it was a panel of experts for internal advice. But subsequently, it has been done more thoroughly, and a lot of videos have come. The channel
Can you repeat, sir? Can you repeat?
for 4 years
Yeah,
of peace
yeah.
since the war, has not Sri Lanka has not taken action to fully investigate it. Sri Lanka has a record of not investigating human rights cases even earlier. So the issue is it has to be done. If Sri it has to get the Tamils and Sinhalese, and this is a big rider which is blocking it mentally. So I think an international investigation with Sri Lanka, in any investigation has to be with the concurrence of Sri Lanka. This Ban Ki-moon also, UN Secretary General, he recognizes this. It won't be a complete investigation. So it has to be done. There is no other way. So when the UN resolution comes, the UN Human Rights Council, because the commissioner will be submitting a report,
Yeah.
I think automatically it boils down to this logical conclusion. And UK and US have already given intimation. Only US circulates a draft also. It would have reached Sri Lanka. I presume it will reach next month probably.
Yeah.
If not already. So it is Sri Lanka knows what is coming. And India is going through a political change, a very crucial election. So it comes at a very inconvenient time for Rajapaksa, the election, because Congress won't hold his hands. He has lost the confidence of India. He has gone back on all his promises. So I don't think, I think he has got to decide something, and it has to be accepted by his people. It has to be accepted by international community. He has made his own job more difficult by delaying it. So I facing a lot of flack in March when the session starts.
Yeah. No, why do you think he has delayed it? I mean, is it because he? That means people say he's involved. That's why he's delaying.
You see, he is he is he wants to protect the army. Because the army has contributed to give a hello to him. He has become the what you call the great Duttagamanu. You know about him, the great Kannada king who defeated the Tamils. He has become reincarnated into Duttagamanu. He has to save his reputation. So he does not want, and he never made up his mind. He wants to milk every inch or every ounce of popularity in the victory. In the bargain, he has lost valuable time, and he does not want the Tamil insurgency to die down.
Mm.
So, because that props up his image, the moment Tamil insurgency is removed, any other politician. So there's a lot of compromises he is making. He is the same guy. I don't know whether you know, when anti-JVP operations were on, he went to the Human Rights Council, sneaked out of Sri Lanka to complain about Sri Lanka government. He is the same Rajapaksa. Not many, I think age has caught up with him, or ambition, or both. He is they are all split, either in support or in against him. And all his opponents are either going, their popularity is going south, or some of them have lost their lives, or some of them got out of Sri Lanka.
Can you
Constitution amended.
yeah, can you repeat that one?
He has got the Constitution amended, putting limitation clause on the number of terms for the president. That's the first thing he did when he was re-elected. So he can, for life, he can become like Gaddafi, he can continue as a lifetime president. But he is actually a smart guy. He's not like Gaddafi. Rajapaksa is a very smart man politically very savvy, very pleasant to interview. So he's not one of those gross guys, politicians. He's very pleasant. So he's able to talk his way through. So he organized the Commonwealth Conclave to gain a bit of popularity. He is now chairman of the Chogam,
Yeah.
Commonwealth heads of state
Yeah.
who were at the receiving end of the UN Human Rights Council. We visited Belarus, which is the biggest defaulter in human rights. We have been meeting like this. At the same time, I think China has a very important role to play, because China is bankrolling. The Chinese are investing in a very big way in Sri Lanka. They have come in. They are going to work out a free trade agreement, and Chinese are giving loans at 12% to him, whereas India is giving aid at 4%. You can see the difference. Chinese loans are no holds barred.
Mm-hmm.
India has some classes. India or International Monetary Fund, Asia Bank, or for that matter US. So this is how Rajapaksa operates. The typical wheeler dealer.
Yeah.
So the countries will have to devise methods of tackling this. He will dig his heels because he has nothing to lose internally.
But what would you classify what happened in 2009? I mean, what legal classification would you give it? Genocide, crime against humanity? I mean, what would you, war crime? I
You
can't hear
you
you,
you
sir.
see, the custodial killing is a war crime.
Yeah.
By uniformed man is a war crime, and intentional destruction of civilians, life and property.
Could you repeat? Could you repeat, sir?
But that, in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
the allegations come. If you ask Sri Lanka to put a ceasefire, I don't know how realistic it is. They have been fighting tunnel insurgent groups for 25 years. How can no, no, we will airlift those militants, leaders. We will send Marines to airlift them. Will US agree if somebody says that they would live from Afghanistan, have a ceasefire? So they were not really realistic. International effort was not possible. On WhatsApp. Uh,
So one thing is, do you see a re-emergence of LTTE or any militant group? And second thing, do you see again a role for the Indian armed forces to send for peacekeeping if international investigation or something like that, takes place?
didn't come overnight. There was a government which supported, which doesn't exist now. And for that matter, for any insurgency, this is not the climate. Cold War was on, arms were available. Now there are international protocols preventing and material through international carriers. All these were available. LTT, the diaspora could help LTT. Now there's a very strong action against money laundering internationally. So it is to revive, particularly in an island nation. Secondly, you require a leadership. Imagine Tamil people have lost 80,000, that is two generations of youth. They have no time for this. They just want to survive. They want to pick up their livelihood. They want a place to stay. These are the priority. Who will support them? So they are playing the revival of insurgency itself on a low key, on the genocide issue, war crimes issue, which will find broader acceptance all over the world. So I think this is a thing, as long as this question arises, it helps to perpetuate his hold on Sri Lanka, Sinhala mind, because he requires the enemy to come as a savior. Secondly, Indian only for investigation. I see you talk of protection of witnesses.
Yeah, like
It is not
international
really
protection.
nothing. No international protection can guarantee his life. Sorry to say, he has to live in Sri Lanka. How long will you protect him? And secondly, you require the cooperation of the government. You require to go through the official files, documentation, everything. And I don't think any country will accept this unless they voluntarily come forward, like the Kenya has done, Kenyan president. appeared before the
not to protect
Rangarajan.
Rajapaksa, to protect the Tamil people there from they
No, no,
because there's some war
no.
crimes happened. So
How can they come? Foreign troops cannot come. There should be justification.
yeah, yeah,
How many Tamil witnesses have been killed? You require to document this for international action. Even for genocide, I have been telling the Tamil groups, you require entire document who are the witnesses, who are responsible for the action. International action, writing about it is the one thing, but international action for various countries to come with their. Firstly, India is not popular at all. Last time it quoted unpopularity, including Indian opposition, for going into Sri Lanka.
yeah.
No politician has the political or will to do it all over. I don't think so. It's no go.
Okay. And so finally, do you have any final words for the diaspora organizations? Um, and what would be the best political solution to this? Because this has been going on since the independence of India and uh, you know the whole continent, subcontinent from the British Empire. They've been asking.
Yeah. It is Sri Lankan people who are important. Ultimately, diaspora has no stake in Sri Lanka except sentiment and some. So, the solution has to come from the people of Sri Lanka. Otherwise, it will not succeed. Diaspora try to uh, bankroll. It has failed. And diaspora, that generation also is dying out. 1983 generation. Now, newer generation, they are all citizens of other countries. There are organizations of diaspora which are more enlightened. They realize US with Rajapaksa and do it politically. That is how they have been supporting the Tamil National Alliance. Now, there is a lot of, I will not go into the political details. So, the people have to be involved. I think at various levels, not at political level only. The international community should help this process. They they should have this issue not between the government and the political parties at various levels. How will we resolve a united Sri Lanka? How the just demands can be met of people. Christians churches are being attacked. The Muslims are already under attack from extreme Buddhist elements. These are all very small elements, but these hog the limelight. So they must diffuse this. This can be done only by socially has enough intellectual strength. It is very high in South Asia. It is the highest on Human Development Index. They are capable of doing this. Only they need prodding. Rather political pressure internationally. So, I mean, I am not a politician or a diplomat. To my mind, the international conference must be called along with Sri Lanka to discuss and talk about. That would be more constructive than
Like a
taking
diaspora meeting with the TNA or something.
the political parties are drawing a lot of money even now. from diaspora.
Yeah.
They have a link. Diaspora is not sufficient. That won't apply as a pressure group. Rather, requires pressure that can come only from international community. India, China, US,
Yes.
European Union.
Yes. Yes.
Countries like that. Which matter. And I think they have wasted a lot of time left out of the development story that is taking place in South Asia. If India, with all its problems, can talk last 10 years, 7% growth, I don't see any reason why still Sri Lanka got higher GDP, can't do better. This is my final message. So Tamils and Sinhalese should not waste time.